Patreon, episode 3. What's up? We are with Mark RanDoM. That's right. Listen, on the Patreon, we get down, we're getting not personal, but it's a lot more to obtain as a fan of the Ski Mask Collective podcast. It's not as crazy. So, who else out there is going to sit down with a one-on-one with Mark RanDoM? I just wanted to be the first one because I know that people are going to be doing it soon. He's a good dude. You know, you've seen him on all the podcasts. You know who he is. You know his name. Mark, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. This feels like the inside the actor's studio.
Does it really?
Like an acoustic unplugged, Mark RanDoM unplugged.
I know. I tried to get the most spooky light that I had for no reason at all, except I don't really like a lot of bright light. But then it's sometimes hard to interact. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Are we making a music video?
Yeah, you got to set the vibe, though.
Yeah, you really do. We were talking a little bit before the show. It's a lot of different vibe than, I guess, a lot of the shows that you've been on, I've noticed, have included a round table of people. Like, you're one of the guys that I haven't seen necessarily be in a room. Like, besides Kevin's show, I think. How many guys were on that show? 4?
Yeah, I think 4, and there might have been a 5th one.
Yeah, so you say you actually shine more on shows with a lot more people, right?
No, I shine with a decent amount of people, maybe like 2 or 3. Well, the thing is, because I'm such a... I hate saying this because it makes me sound like I'm narcissistic about myself, but it's what I've observed from everyone else, that I'm this force of energy that half the time I can kind of be a guest and know when to talk and when not, but other times it's just like, it just becomes the random show, which is why LJ was kind of smart to just have it RanDoM's World, like just go off for an hour because...
Yeah. I mean, because he knew that that's what most of your end up happening on your appearances, because not only an aspect to just letting you rant, but a lot of these podcast hosts aren't used to somebody coming in their room and basically not taking over, just talking and just keep talking because you believe in what you're saying. A lot of times people get nervous going on these shows and they don't know when to pipe in. They don't know what to say. And they're afraid maybe I said too much. You seem like you don't give a fuck. Like, you get a point across, you're going to keep going until you're like, stop it down. I had 8 people in the room, like 6 or 7 in the show that I had you on. It was the same thing. I was like, dude, this is fantastic. I'm loving what he's saying. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I like. This is what I will be narcissistic about, is I was on the Legion of Skanks. I was only like 5 months into comedy, and I was still able to keep up with them and make their audience laugh, where it did kind of start circling around the craziness that is RanDoM, aka Mark RanDoM. And it's like, that's the type of vibe that I am. And it's like, what people don't realize is a show like that, because they're like comedic.
Yeah. And how many episodes do they have? They have a lot of episodes. Exactly. Being in front of that live crowd, it's got to be, not nerve-wracking, but it's different than just one-on-one or whatever the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, and it's like, just they're like comedic monsters, just throwing out one line after what. So the fact that I was able to get lines in and to come as hard as I did, like, I pride myself. Like, what other fucking 6-month comic are you going to find that will have it? You'll never fucking find that. Yeah,
not only that, but even if they were able to get on the show, like I was saying earlier, they would probably be too nervous or didn't know when to pipe in or looking at the crowd too much, because they've built themselves up and now they're sitting next to Big J. Okerson and Louis J. Gomez and shit. And in front of their diehard fans. I mean, those fans are crazy diehard. I mean, on the Reddit, whoa, it's a lot. Yeah. But I guess so. You was Real Ass Podcast the first show? Did you do that before Legion of Skanks?
No, I did. Well, the thing is, I did lesser known podcasts here and there. Just in a lot. There's a podcast that it's on my Who Killed Comedy show. I did in like August 2018, where I think I did good because it was with a feminist, a guy social justice warrior, and someone who had like a Black Lives Matter thing. And I was able to debate like all three of them at once.
Were they debating each other on the topic too?
No,
or was it them against you?
All 3 against
Who the fuck? Who set that up?
I mean, she did, because I don't know. She has her own issues.
Were they like trying to set you up for failure and then you came in there and did it good? Or did she believe that you would be able to debate them?
Yeah, it was a professional studio, but her thing, the concept of the show was, she calls it hate fuck revolution, where 2 people who don't get along just kind of have a conversation. And that's what it was. But it she was hardcore social justice and political correctness. And, I was a little,
Does she have a lot of listeners? You don't have to answer that, but
the thing is, I can always say I respect people, but it's like there comes a certain point where they're just gonna blatantly hate me no matter what. So
Yeah, you can't win.
I
Sometimes you just can't win. I mean, it's just simple
gone
as
from
that.
comedy. So
Yeah, well, hey,
I
it happens to the best of them, doesn't it? You know,
mhm.
especially with everything that's going on out there now. Don't you think when comedy does come back, people are going to be wanting to hear everything? They're not going to be going in hoping for censorship because right now they just want to get out of the fucking house. So when they do make it in that club, they're gonna want to relax and just hear some shit they haven't heard in 6-7 months.
But the thing that I was thinking about, the what made those riots, that I refer to them as the race riots, I don't give a fuck. But what made that more intense than kind of any other is you have people that not only were in their house for a month, probably like in situations they didn't want to be around people they most likely probably didn't want to be around,
Right.
is the information that they were being fed. Like that means they were on Twitter all day reading about
Yep.
political correctness. They were on Twitter reading about race relations. And you pump that into someone's mind for an entire month, every single day. Racial injustice, white straight male, comedy censorship, cancel culture. And then you send them out into the world. And so that's why I'm not nervous, but
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm not optimistic. I think it'll get a
you're
lot worse.
not.
I
The,
think if comedy clubs open up, there is going to be a lot more. Comedy fans will have a relief to it, but the outsiders that'll be like, I haven't seen a live show in a year. I'm
uh,
going to a comedy club. They will fucking freak out. I
you do
believe
you
so.
think it's going to be censored
No,
because of
not
everything that's being pumped in? Or are you saying that everybody was in the house getting pumped all this information so that they're starting to believe this information, or that it's just overwhelming amount of information? They're like, what the fuck? Like, this is too much. Because that's the
yeah,
way I feel about it. I can't even watch the shit anymore. I'm just like, okay, enough,
yeah,
enough. All right.
overwhelming information, but all that programming is it, like I feel like it's more likely to set someone off in a comedy club because they're like, I haven't been out in an entire year. I'm gonna go see a comedy show. So then like all that cancel culture stuff that's been floating around their mind, they're just gonna freak out if they hear some buzzword
Oh,
that a
okay.
comedian says.
Yeah, but then at that point, why are you at a comedy club? Like I said, I mean, I was doing an interview show the other night, and I was explaining like at first it's going to be hard to fill clubs. I personally think because people they're going to want to go out and relax, maybe have a fucking nice meal,
Yeah.
maybe do things like that, and then once the hustle and bustle begins to pick back up, then people are going to be like, I need to wind down. I want to laugh. And that's when the comedy's going to be there, and hopefully resurging it'll come up because everything's going to have to change by that point. I don't know if it can be the exact same as it was before everything shut down. I don't know.
But the thing is that people don't realize this is why, like, I know this is selfish to say. I wish I was more famous and had a voice in comedy just to, because I have information that could kind of elevate what comedy is. And people don't realize there's three different types of people who watch comedy. The first are comedy fans who understand the art.
Right.
Two are just people that kind of watch it because it's become so mainstream, like the late night talk shows and the
Ugh.
Comedy Central. So they're just like, oh, this must be what's like walking into a
They're
comedy club.
comparing it to that. They're like, oh, there's going to be people in here just like are on the late night show, but it's not the case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the third people they are legitimately people that look to get offended.
Right.
And
Right.
people don't realize how prevalent they are, but there are people
They
that
know it's an
will
easy
go to
market.
that will go exactly because it's now like beneficial. It's now whatever's in their social circle. They feel like they are righteous that I'm going to go into a comedy club and I'm going to shout at the comedian if he says something.
Yeah.
I did a good thing.
Well,
Like
look at Seth Simons, man. I mean, what have you seen his videos of him doing bird poetry? He knew he was never going to get anywhere with that bullshit. So
yeah,
he just went out to comedy clubs and he wrote a good piece. I mean, not a
yeah.
good piece, but a piece that put his name on the map. And
But
now
people,
everybody in comedy knows his fucking name, don't they? It's like,
yeah,
come on, that's what we're making people big for now. He couldn't write a
exactly.
joke to save his life.
Yeah, I can't speak to him because I don't really know him. It's like he is, in all effects of the term, an enemy of comedy. But
Right.
that, but
It's,
he's articulate about it, and I feel like
yes,
people.
because he's making it seem as if he's helping when
Well,
it's not the case for
I've
club
listened to
comics.
I've listened to podcasts with him, so I understand. Like, I can't understand the points he's coming from because I believe he's wrong about those things. But that, like, he strategically will never debate because I feel like inherently they know they're in the wrong, because it gets so much bigger. And this is why I would love to just talk to Louis J. Gomez so he knows, like, do you understand what you're up against? You're not up against people who are politically correct or think they're
It's
doing it
beyond
great.
that.
They are people that are from their college doctrine or mainstream corporations are set out to
Yeah,
destroy
that's
comedy
their
because they
job.
believe it promotes the system of oppression. Like, as fucked up as that sounds, they believe comedy is a leading factor to like racism,
Well, think
discrimination.
about it. Think about it. It's one of the last things out there that still
Yeah,
holds the major majority of it is freedom. That's what makes
exactly.
it beautiful. You go up on a stage, it's just you and a microphone, and there they are waiting in the back of that room, waiting for you to fuck up, which makes it 10
Exactly.
times as hard if you're trying to make it. Look at Shane Gillis, man. He finally got him a spot
Yeah.
on Saturday Night Live. That was a crazy cast pick. You know, I was listening to him when
But this
nobody knew
is,
who he was, and the same
again,
thing.
yeah, again, this is what I love Shane Gillis. I've hung out with him a few times. He's cool, but it's like he wasn't prepared for what was going to happen. He
Yeah.
literally thought they were just upset at jokes. And then Andrew Yang wanted to debate him.
That
And
was
it's like,
that was an issue in itself.
I just wish I had a voice to take that debate, because it's like I can defend comedy because I know where these people are coming from.
You
Shane
think he
Gillis
should have
just thought,
taken? You think he should have taken that debate?
but
I
here's
think
the
he should have
thing.
ignored the request.
No, I would have taken the debate, but the thing is, and this is no offense to Shane, Shane got into comedy with just, I'm going to make people laugh, I'm going to be funny, and whether I'm political correct or not, he doesn't realize there's a whole agenda, there's a whole political and monetary component against him
Right,
because of
right.
that sort of podcast. He thought he from his perspective, thought that they were just upset from some words he said, not realizing that it's a calculated attack on him.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
I felt like he was kind of ill prepared for that
I
level of
mean, yeah,
hate.
it in truth it was, because I feel like as a fan of his, he didn't necessarily know it was going to get this big that fast, because just a few months before that, he was doing a show at Compound Media that didn't, I don't know how many views it garnished, but I know I was one of the only 3 callers before I started my show.
I,
But don't you think, because you said it a minute ago that you wish you were a little bit more famous or had more of a voice, don't you think there's a market out there for people like you who are
I,
calling out, not necessarily calling out, but you understand what's going on? I mean, think of, I don't know, Alex Jones is banned from everything, but he created his own world by
yeah,
in that
that's
kind of niche, and his own website, which it's hard to control, but still he has a voice. Like his fans, like they listen to him when he talks. And so it may not be comedy in a sense that everybody else is doing, but you could start your own thing. I mean, it's a new world out here.
I am, and this is what people tell me is I'm in this balance where it's like what I do to appease online fans makes comedians in the industry kind of disrespect me. And it's like what I do to get respect from these comedians kind of makes the online fans. So it's a weird balance to juggle of like, how do I get this across? Because it's like, I'm not mad. I can't be mad at people who make personal decisions, but it's like I was turned down as much as people saw me rise in popularity. I was turned down and shut down and personally like rejected by so many shows that had they taken me on, I would have had a lot more prominent name in comedy. I would have had a lot more prominent influence,
You could
and I
have, yeah.
believe comedy would be so like again, this is my selfish narcissism. I joke
Well,
about saying like, I'm the savior of comedy. I know I'm not, but I do have this thing where if people had the information, it's almost like I'm not going to say which comics, but there was in 2018, I was saying own comedians will start attacking other comedians over this and start
yeah,
to get their win. And people were saying I was fucking crazy. Then in like 2019, that happened where Legion of Skanks couldn't perform with Milo Yiannopoulos
yeah.
at the Cave, and they were shocked. They were like, "I don't get
They
how this
knew, they should
happened."
have known that was coming. That's,
But it's like I was trying to warn them. I was trying to explain to them that this is, going to happen.
it's almost, if you look at back in the day, whenever people were told to be quiet about certain things by certain people, and they were very quiet compared to anything else. It's kind of like that in a sense. Like you should know it's coming, but you really don't want to think about it too much, or I don't know how you can't know at this point. They
because
even announced he was going to be on the show way further in advance than they have any other guest. So
but
they
that's
gave them plenty of time to fucking shut it down. It's like, dude, you knew, because even if, all right, even if they weren't able to perform there, it still caused a shit ton of clout for that show, right?
yeah, but this is again what I don't like and where I support their decision of kind of canceling the show and moving it is these people that attack, they didn't just attack the Legion of Skanks, they started attacking the venue,
I
they
know.
started
It,
attacking
it
people,
gave it a
they were
bad
trying to
name.
get people just associated with the show. And it's like, to me, it's sick. It's like, that's like mob rule. It's like
Well,
if the mafia is out to get you, they'll like shoot one of your cousins
that's
or
what I was getting at,
like that.
earlier.
They try to nail people around you. So like that's what's happening to Joe Rogan.
I
Joe Rogan's
know. I
too
know. Don't
powerful to go
you?
after. So they went after Ari Shafir. They went after Joey Diaz. They're
Right,
Chris
right.
D'Elia. That's a different one. But they went
Yeah,
at
yeah, I'm sure.
all the people in his circle.
But don't you think, like, okay, just speaking of Creek and Cave, so whenever they started attacking that venue, because they had got done attacking the comedians and all of that, everything was fine until they apologized. So what are your viewpoints on the apology factor? You know, Shane was one of the only people who didn't come out and give a straight apology. I feel like when they come out and do these apologies, that's when it fucks them over. That seals the deal. It's done.
Yeah,
You've
because
lost your
again,
battle.
that's what I'm saying. I love Shane, so I hope that this never gets out. He thinks I'm
Well, I
trying
don't
to.
want to, like, it's not just necessarily based on Shane. It's just in general. Like, what do you
No,
think? Like, even when Kimmel was
here's
attacked.
here's what I'm saying is people think that they genuinely want an apology. Like Shane Gillis, I can't speak for him. That's the thing is I wish I had more conversation, but I believe they think that people are actually offended by their jokes, so they apologize, but they don't realize they're just acting, they're pretending to be
They
offended to
want you
make
to
that attack.
apologize.
And the apology is them like, okay, now we got him on the ropes, like a
Yeah,
boxer
yeah,
match.
that's
Like
it.
Dave Chappelle
It
got you in
seals
a
the deal.
corner once you apologize, and then they attack and cancel. And it's
Yeah.
like that's why you have to like come out swinging, otherwise like you're already dead anyway. If there it's I mean your career,
Yeah.
if cancel culture is coming for you, you're already dead. So but I've always been that type. I mean,
When
it
did it?
probably will
Okay,
be my
so I mean, I know because you've always given off that vibe before, like, you know when this shit's happening because everybody's heard you talk about it on shows. When did this all start? Have you always been that way? Like when you came into comedy, did you
yeah,
start noticing in the clubs, or did you know before you ever went up on stage? Is this kind
that
of the way it's going to be?
that's what was shocking as fuck for me is, and again, this is a damn it, I had a point. What I was gonna say, yeah. I was trying to finish the Shane Gillis point. Something about them. Yeah, what I was gonna say is just I know my downfall will be that I'm just always a fight against this shit. Don't apologize.
But
Don't
I
try
don't
to.
think that's a
I'm
downfall, Mark, because like I said, you could create
random.
your own. Oh, sorry, Random.
It's
I'm
all
sorry.
good.
You can create your own voice and your own market. I mean, I think right now is the best time for that.
Well,
So why
here,
do you mean like a downfall? Are you trying to be somebody who doesn't get taken down? Because I feel like if you know they're getting taken down, you not fearing it, they have no fucking reason to come after you, right?
yeah. Well, I'm sorry. You asked another question that I didn't quite answer. So just remember that one. You asked, did I notice this in the scene? And
Yeah,
I've my lovely girlfriend recorded a documentary called Who Killed Comedy, and
correct.
it's me interviewing people because this is what I wish I could get out. Again, when you have comedians like Joe Rogan or even Ari Shafir or Tim Dillon, they're established, so they don't understand what it's like to try to make it now in this culture because it's like they kind of already passed the window before it closed. Tim Dillon has his own audience, so he doesn't have to worry about being canceled. But for the up and coming, it's like there's new rules. Like I really thought people believed comedy was we're just trying to make each other laugh, we'll give each other notes. But every comedy club and had some political agenda,
Hmm.
had some. So I started realizing like people were saying shit about me online. People were saying like we need to ban him. People fucking would call the police to fucking
Wow.
get me out of their club. That was it.
When after you had already started to make a name, they would call the
Well,
cops.
no, just when I was an open micer. I had this is why my girlfriend recorded a documentary about it, which it's sad that it's released on my website. You can buy it, markrandom.com for like $4 or whatever. But it's like, it was so fucking shocking to me that it's like the comedy that I thought it was, which is we're just trying to make each other laugh and fuck around. Because you're an open mic comedy. You're nobody. You shouldn't have any stage experience or even jokes. You're just trying to figure out your voice. But to hate a comic and want to ban an open micer who's been doing it maybe 3 times they did an open mic, and you're going to write a Facebook post and a Instagram post about why that person needs to get a comedy. It's fucking insane. And I had the FBI come after me for a joke that
I gotta hear this joke.
The Parkland shooting, but that's because someone called. It's called lawfare, which is they use the law to try to move their way. And I was investigated by the FBI and ATF and everyone. This one thing that drives me crazy, and I know if I say this out loud, people will think that it's like they'll just do it more. But it's like I hate people not believing me because then it disvalidates the story. But if people want validation, I can show you the picture of the ATF, the FBI, and the 2 police that had to let them in, because I didn't know they couldn't come in my apartment without a search warrant. But they were playing these games of like they called me, said they wanted to meet with me.
They do stuff like that. I can confirm that happened to a friend. And they showed up in my
apartment at like 8 a.m, and we're talking about a clip that I posted online about the Parkland shooting. I made a joke, and they're like, "Well, what's this about?" And I have the detective's name, but I know I mentioned his name once on a podcast by accident, and the local police just came up to me and gave me a ticket. And I do have
a ticket.
I do have a little paranoia, but I kind of took that as a message.
Yeah, I mean, so he gave you a ticket for giving out a detective's name?
No, he didn't. Again, that's me being paranoid. Like there's no way I could correlate that, but it's like, it literally, I've never really had that type of an issue in the town of Paramus. But it was like literally I've always been telling the story about the FBI, but it's like the one time I mentioned his name, the next day, coincidentally, a police just comes up and gives me a ticket for something.
Oh, okay. So you're saying they were watching, they needed a reason to get close to you the day after because somehow the word got back. I could see how that would make you paranoid. I could see that, but especially after already having one run-in with them, because you think when you first start off online, you could post whatever, who the fuck's reading this? But then after something like that happens, you're like, whoa.
I was posting clips of myself doing stand-up.
Yeah, you're just saying jokes. That's what I mean. Like, there's some jokes I've said on stage that I would never post online, and I know that they would get me in trouble. But in the club I was in, I could get away with it.
Getting in trouble should just be someone writes a comment card that doesn't like it. It shouldn't be the fucking FBI coming. And I haven't been able to figure out a bit for this. The only joke I had, which is what I said to them, because I wasn't prepared for this. They said,
why would you be? There's no reason you should be prepared for something like that.
Exactly. Because they said different times then. But one of the jokes that I was able to get off that made me feel good about the situation was there was like 2 police officers, an ATF and an FBI, and we're going over my comedy performance. Then we're going over certain posts where it's me saying a joke.
Are you trying to explain to them how it's a joke?
But here's what I said. I go, all right, the guy the person of interest that you labeled, this suspect, he's posting videos about comedy. He says he's a comedian in his bio. He talks about writing jokes. He's been on a podcast. With everything you've learned at the detective agency, what would you imagine I'm doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what could you fit? What puzzle pieces do you need? That's like, I don't
know. So you're trying to figure out how to word that into
or just like
ending?
That was the only thing that mildly funny that I could think of, that like you have all these, this is your piece of information.
Yeah, it's almost like why are you here right now? You should have shut it down if you even looked into the situation.
Exactly. Well, I get it that it's like, we're in a really hypersensitive culture, and sadly I know I fit the profile. Like, thousands of people don't have to make the joke. I do look like a mass killer. Like,
well, I mean, do you do that on purpose? Like, you always wear the RanDoM shirt, or do you only put that on when you do appearances? Do you actually wear the shirt around a lot, and do you do the whole?
But the thing is, it's like, it's happened my whole life, and I don't really want to get into.
You don't have to.
Some of the things that happened in high school, but this is not the first time my appearance has had some kind of like legal confrontation.
Oh, gotcha.
Based on like art I was making, or just the way I look.
Yeah, I see. I mean, that happened to guys in my high school that would wear the trip pants and stuff. If they had anything derogatory, I mean, they would get people would be looking at them because people are already scared anyway. You know, all the jocks and shit like that and the home lives they're living in, when they come to school and see a guy with piercings and stuff and he's not even 18, like it scares
Yeah.
them. It's like, dude, there's nothing to be scared of.
It
But I
was
mean,
kind of, yeah, it kind of angered me because it's like I went to like half black, so it was when 50 Cent was popular. So
nice.
everyone's wearing these like gang shirts of Al Capone with guns on them.
Oh,
They have
like the spray
do-rags.
painted ones you would buy at the mall.
They
Ugh.
have no, but listen to this. They have do-rags on and they rap about guns and how they're a gangster.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm the one being profiled. I'm
Right.
the one that they think might be a problem. So like I kind of found that funny.
I mean,
Like
it
I
is,
could
but
always
that's the way it is. It's still like that to this day at
I could always
schools.
spin that racially of like people say black people get discriminated against. So like you don't know what it's like to be black. It's like, well, if I was in a room of all black people and someone writes the word bomb on the chalkboard, who do you think the police are taking away? You know
No,
what I mean?
exactly. And they just, who knows what they were talking about. But yeah, they wouldn't even investigate the handwriting at that point. They'd just take you away, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I see how that is. So, I mean, so that at that point, we just like, fuck it. This is who I am, I guess, because it's happened so
That
many times.
exactly. That's the thing, because it's like it's sad. It really does like hurt. It's like, you know, in therapy they say like the child in you, because now I wouldn't. I'm either a good or bad person, but there is a monstrous element to me. Whereas like that 14-year-old boy was just told he was a fucking murderer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Like that
that can
was
be
I was really
scarring.
sensitive and like scared of that kind of stuff. And it's like you have a psychologist, you have police officers saying you're a fucking Columbine shooter, which I didn't even know what Columbine was at that time.
Yeah. I
That was
mean,
so removed. And then it's like, you know, like you're calling me this like year after year, you're bringing me to the office. So it's like, ah, fuck it. Here's a
you're bringing
trench
me to
coat.
the office.
I got my hair dyed and I'm wearing a trench coat. What's up?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
all
mean,
black clothes.
wait. So did you wear the trench coat in high school?
By my like the like third year. You
Okay,
know what I mean? Like
okay.
that's
That makes
like
sense now because
through time, I just started to lean into it. Like, yeah, I look like a fucking mass murderer.
I had a
Watch
kid in
out,
my high
everyone.
school that wore the trench coat, and he would wear like the trench coat, and then he didn't really, he kind of just spent a lot of time by himself, but he would build the sandcastles.
That's
Uh,
exactly, and that's why I don't think I'm a unique person, but I think my presence people haven't got before, because I feel like this is gonna sound cult like,
no,
but I
go
feel
ahead.
like everyone, like you just said, that guy, that's who I am. Like everyone has a random in their life. That guy
Yeah, yeah.
real
So
quiet, like you never knew really what was going on with him. You didn't think he was a bad person, but you just didn't know. And I'm like all of those people all over the world personified, who's just speaking out and
right.
doing comedy and going on podcasts. So
But a
yeah,
lot of those guys don't though. Like I don't that guy in particular, I know what happened to. He actually works at the auto parts store here in town.
yeah,
But all the other guys that were like you in high school, like you just explained, I have no fucking idea what happened to him. There's no social media presence.
yeah.
Every now and then you're like, dude, I wonder what happened to that guy. There was one guy that rode my school bus, same thing. He brought a 4-foot bong one day and just lit it up in the back of the school bus. Then he picked up the leather bus seats, because you know how they would just flip up. He
Yeah,
threw that out the window. The next day, he brought a bowling ball and threw a bowling ball out the window, and then threw some paper and lit it on fire and caused a big
yeah.
ruckus. And
That's
that's
kind of
just what he
funny.
did, because we would ask him to, because he
Oh
wanted,
shit.
he loved the attention. We'd be like, hey, dude, what about a bowling ball? Can you get your hands on that?
Yeah,
Sure enough, next fucking day.
that's
I mean,
fucked.
I feel like an asshole years later, but I have no idea what happened to him. I think he became a drug dealer, honestly.
Yeah,
And
that's usually the pipeline, because
yeah,
that's where like I always hated my last name. I always wanted people to call me Mark, so they would call me RanDoM, and then it just like became this persona of that's that guy, like the guy you see sitting at the diner alone, the guy who's on the airplane alone, or who's on the train alone
it's
writing in his
me.
notebook, the guy that you smoke with who's like a friend of a friend who comes out
Yeah.
in the woods and you guys have a fun time. He
That's the
says
only time you
interesting
see
things.
him.
Exactly, but then he just goes off into the woods, and you're like,
Okay.
that guy probably, like, you have no idea where he comes from or where he goes, and everyone just say, well, you just randomly show up. You're random. You randomly just appear here, and you're all over New Jersey. Like you're like there's some weird mythology like the Jersey Devil. You just appear like 1 minute you're in North Jersey,
Right.
1 minute
Yeah. So you're
everyone's
just
gonna
all over the
recognize.
place. And I
Yeah,
guess it can be easy up there because it's so, easily accessible to get different places. But even down here, like I gotta say, a lot of people don't continue that sort of vibe after the high school scene. They kind of just like find
yeah,
their niche after, because they go to a college or they move away and they get
yeah.
access to a much bigger market. But you're like, you know what, this is who I am. Fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
random. Let's do it. And you took the whole
Yeah.
persona on, and that's basically who you are and what you become. That now it makes sense to me, you
Yeah.
know, because I know guys like you. I know them
Exactly.
personally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just kind of what it became. That's what I like used in music.
Now,
That's what it was like. I think this is literally I wouldn't say a mental illness, but this is some weird condition where it's like I felt like I didn't belong, and I always felt like I was searching something. So I would literally
all
get
those
on a fucking
guys.
I would literally, like, I live in New Jersey, and I literally get on a train and like stop in Iowa or like Ohio and just walk around
Yeah,
and
just check
get
it
a
out.
motel and just hang around. And that's why like music was good. Like I failed horribly as a musician, but like the touring life of like I'm in Detroit one day, then I'm in Chicago, then I'm in Texas. Like I like the idea of just kind of, whether I was anonymous or just like seeking something and then not being in one place. Like I'm just like,
See, like, okay, so all those guys that I'm thinking about in high school and stuff, there was bands like Korn, ICP.
yeah,
That's what that not necessarily they catered to, but all those guys were fans of those bands because they knew how to get to that market. Like they would come out with patches and shit, and not necessarily like that in any form. But don't you
yeah,
think that there could be a way to transform your comedy into? I know a lot of those guys don't want to laugh, but
that's
you
that
know, some of the to
exactly.
be your fucking fans, but
That's
you could take a different approach, like I don't give a fuck approach, and make them feel good about themselves, because a
that's
lot of times those guys are doing that, like not necessarily just being aloners, but they're doing that because they don't know what else to fucking do at that point. And if there was somebody like you to look up to, you know,
yeah.
there's your fan base, and you got to find a way to reach them. You know,
Well,
it used to be
that's
CD players. What is it now?
yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm doing. Like I yeah, that's it was a weird thing because as a musician, I would get booked in a lot of black clubs, but it's like they could respect me, but they couldn't relate to
Well,
like
first of
being a
all, you got to have a lot
fucking.
of balls doing probably, you know, going in that club and performing, right? That's
I
you,
used
or am I
to.
just reading off the media?
No, here's what it is they would respect me, but it's like at the end of the day, like you can be as gangster as you want, but you can't relate to like, or like I'm in a different
Yeah.
world as someone who's like, like from like a, like a Biggie, Notorious Big in Brooklyn
Uh
versus
huh.
my suburban just rapping about like mental illness and being a loner and like
Yeah.
looking for your place in life and then like getting in fights or just, like that sort of thing. So it's like I never really like it never really hit, and I never wanted people to know I was a musician when I started comedy. But then
I
I just,
noticed that when you did my last show, I asked you a little bit about it, and you diverted the subject, and
yeah,
which I was fine with, you know, because I knew you were a musician, but I always thought it was punk rock for some reason, and I forgot
well,
that it was rap.
because that's the thing is like I'm more of like a rock, death metal, metal type of person. But it's like I couldn't form a band and I
That's
couldn't really
fucking
sing, so it's
difficult,
like I would just rap, and that's kind of where it took me.
right?
And like that, and that's like I spent so much money scrubbing the internet of any remembrance
But
of
why,
written
man? Don't
ever.
you think you don't think that
But
one day you would
you know
want to
what it
look
is?
back, or
It's
some
still out
if you
there.
have some diehard fans,
Well, that's what I'm saying is
you still have access.
I've had no, I don't know if I have access, but some people have, like there's some radio show that mentioned me as a comedian a couple of times. Then they pulled up a music video that I did when I was like 25, and they're like, "This is a good song" or whatever. So like, I feel like if I become successful or notarized in comedy enough, I'll just be like, ah, fuck it. Here's a music video of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause like all right, this is a little narcissistic, but there's
Go
some songs
ahead.
I have that are I'm like, this is a fucking amazing song. Like
Yeah.
people need to hear this shit. Like it's a fucking good song.
But that's all right to be that way, because if you didn't feel good about it and you put it out there, it would probably bomb. You
But
have to
that's
feel good about what you're doing, man. So that you know, I gain a little bit of respect for you, just you saying you know who you are. A lot of
I
people
don't
can't
no, I
fucking a lot
don't.
of people a lot of I mean, but in retrospect to who you're kind of catering to, what we had
Well,
just
that's the
talked
thing
about,
is,
that's like that takes a lot to realize that, you know.
well, it's like it's a paradox. Like I don't want this to sound sad, but it's like I have a lot of emotional issues and mental issues where
Don't
I
we
made my
all?
identity. I don't know who I am. Like,
Yeah.
and I know who I am by accepting I have no fucking idea who I am. That's
But
why.
that's what you're catering to, because those fucking guys in high school have no fucking idea who they are. They can't fit
Exactly.
in with anybody else, man.
Exactly. But
Nobody else will accept them. So they're like, fuck it. I'm going to build a sandcastle. And right then it's
exactly.
funny, but then you see them years later, they're doing all right. You know,
Yeah.
this guy fucking manager of this auto parts store, probably making more money than me. You know,
Yeah.
he's all right. He helps me out. He helps me find my fucking shit.
Yeah. The only problem that I want to sequester my being a hip hop artist or rapper was that the type of people who are like these Legion of Skanks fans or New York City comedy, like they just want to hate on something. And it's like, I feel like a lot of me is misunderstood. So it's like, I don't even want to give them the fodder to just write hate messages. You know what I mean? Like, because like I say things in comedy that I believe, and half the 1/3 of all the people who write me hate mail just say I'm trying to be shocking. They're,
No,
you know,
that's, I mean,
like,
are those
trying
guys,
to be edged
look,
or
if you were trying to be shocking, it would have ended after your first 2 or 3 appearances on those shows, and that would have been it. This is something, this is, I mean, dude, it's become past the point of being a bit, for say, if that's what was going on. And besides the point, the Legion of Skanks fans, I've noticed, the real fans of that show support anybody that the Skanks support. And as far as them having you on the shows, they've never really trashed you. So the guys writing that fucking hate mail aren't real fans. They're just trying to start some shit online. I've got the same ones, man. I mean,
yeah.
you know, there's
Well, that's the thing is we talk about making it independently, but it's like if you have a large group of fans that really won't, you know what I mean? Like the Legion of Skanks episode is still talked about to this day.
of course, yeah.
But what I'm saying is it's like, I'm not going to straight up be like, why won't you guys have me back on? You know what I mean? But it's like, there is a vibe of like them, whether it's passing me to the side or not wanting to give me a platform or just not liking me personally. Like I would never make those accusations or assumptions because I have no idea what's going on in their head. But it's strange that it's like when I was at Skankfest, I had to record like every other couple of seconds. People were coming up to me asking for pictures and stuff like that.
Think about that for a second. Think about that. That show you did garnished a lot of views. It's still talked about to this day.
Exactly.
There's no reason those guys wouldn't have you back on for any other reason. Who knows what's going on, like you say. But maybe right now is not the right time. And you're on the back burner. Maybe now they're doing other things, or they're like, oh shit, with everything going on, we need to do something new. So they're trying out new shit because as a host, that's what I do. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, I need to do something to bring people's attention back, because if you keep doing the same shit over and over, people are going to stop clicking on it and everything like that. Give it a break, bring you back on the show for a huge appearance. I mean, think about that, man. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be back eventually, because there's no reason you shouldn't be if that show got that many views. And it has. I mean, I listened to it. It was a legendary episode.
Unless someone personally just doesn't like me. And you know what I mean? Like that's their opinion. Like
I don't feel like that's that show though, because they've had people on that I know from listening that there's no way they like. And you can tell by the questions they ask. Yeah.
I guess here's and I want advice on this, and this is gonna sound bad, but it's like I don't what you're saying is 100% right, and that's what I need to tell myself anytime I get discouraged of like, oh, these people don't like me, I'll never make it in comedy, I'm gonna fail. And
it's hard.
But here's the thing is, so that patience, sometimes I have that thought and it helps me, but I have this mental issue that I wish I understood. I have an urgency. Like I feel like if I don't make it in comedy now, I'll never have a shot, which I don't understand why I have that. I wish I could practice more patience, but I have this I'm not feeling like I'm gonna die or something, but just feeling like I only have like 2 years left to live or something.
Let me ask you this:
I have an urgency.
If you're texting somebody that you say you're asking them a question, right? Yeah. They don't get back to you. Yeah. Do you have the urgency to text them again?
No. I mean,
because it's all devolved, and it's what it is it's an insecurity, because I suffer from that too, and I feel like a lot of comics do as well. You know, maybe this isn't the right move, blah blah blah. Yeah. That's what took me so long to launch all this shit when I first got sober, because I would post funny stuff And in the morning time, I would wake up with that insecurity and I would delete it immediately.
Actually, it's not an insecurity
You
because
don't think so?
no, here's what I'm going to say it is because it's not so much reliant on the acceptance or approval of others. It's more so to get my voice out. Like
Okay.
if Elon Musk and Kanye West saw my video and just did a podcast with me and I ranted for an hour, then I would feel maybe vindicated that
Okay. So you're feeling like
it's
you're
not so much
feeling,
I want their approval of like,
uh-huh.
I wish New York City podcast would have me on. It's just I feel this urgency personally of like, if I don't get this message out now, I won't be able to.
Okay. So you kind of have the feeling of if you stay neutral too long, you could be forgotten about, right? That's
Not
what you're saying.
neutral, just like
Neutral as in like say you don't go on a show for a while. You're like, fuck, are they moving on? Or I haven't gotten to say anything for a while, because I understand what you're saying in that aspect, as if you get on a show and you're able to let those things out, you feel better afterwards, right?
dude, I'm gonna drop something heavy, so please, you gotta have this to pick this up, okay?
Have it.
I I have no intention to kill myself, but I do have a lot of fucking issues where I feel like I look for hope, but it's like I just have the feeling like I'm not gonna be around for a long time, and I don't mean that to be shocking. I don't mean that to be concerns. You know, like everyone has their issues in life, and we're responsible to like get up and find purpose and to take care of our mental and emotional health. But I just have a lot of shit going on where it's like, it's all pointless, or I just don't want to mean anything to this world, so just put the gun in my mouth, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean, because I feel like more people than you think those thoughts, but would never have the balls or the animosity to say it out loud, because they know that if they do, then they're going to have the fucking whirlwind come after them, the beehive. You need help. You need this. You need that. And that's exactly what they don't need, is people in their face saying that. Sometimes people just need reassurance that dude, listen, I mean, when you get your voice out there, it garnishes views. You did my show, fucking 500 something views. I'm a new podcast,
It's not so much, it goes so much more deeper. Like
It does.
The comedy is the microcosm of this macrocosmic problem that I have with just trying to understand the metaphysical nature of life, of like, is there some purpose, or are we all just like these biological creatures that develop consciousness by accident? We're a virus. You know what I mean? Like, is there an afterlife? Do I even control if there's reincarnation or a heaven? Or like, as much as I fucking trash Jews and Muslims and continue to, I do read a lot of the Torah and Quran, just like looking for those answers.
Well, it's the same thing as watching every news source. You have to have every point of view in order to understand what your thoughts about it are.
But it's like they all kind of simultaneously, it still all lies in belief. Like, and it's like one of those, you'll never know until you know. And there's a sick part of me that's like, it's because I have had moments in my life that are so amazing and people could only dream of, but it's still like, I just want to know the answer.
Yeah. So are you telling me that unless it's set in stone truth, you're unsure? You're searching for that fucking truth, right?
Yeah. And
that feeling of being unsure is overwhelming sometimes, especially.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's like, that's life. Everything in life is kind of subjective to change, always changing, and kind of unknown. So it's like a torment of like, you know what I mean? Like, trying to be cool and just accept that a lot of things in life are unknown, other than just me trying to take control and find something that is known by just,
This is where I think it's important, RanDoM, for you to understand that it's highly, how am I trying to say this? It's good that you think this way, because before the show, we were laughing, talking about how we wanted to start bands. Yeah. And like I said, all my friends, they have kids. I'm the only one without a kid. They're starting families. They're settling down. That's all they're going to do. They don't have time to think about these outside that many thoughts. They have too much shit going on. So you like to not have everything going on at once and so much responsibility. We can go out and think twice as hard about why we're so unsure. And sometimes it could be overthinking and overwhelming. And you're like, fuck, why? And it starts to eat at you. It does,
And it's one of those things of living like, it's like, there's certain, it's like everyone kind of lives their own life, and it's like you could have the grass is always greener. Like if I'm a touring, like let's say I'm a touring circus performer, right?
Uh-huh.
And women suck my dick every night and I'm
At
having
the
a good time.
circus.
Yeah. Who better to suck your dick? But
Right.
then if I look at like a family, they have stable job and a family like house, I could look at like, I wish I had that
Yeah,
life.
but they're
Like I
they're
know
on Twitter looking at people like us who are doing shows, and it's
exactly,
they're jealous of the freedom. We're jealous of them
exactly.
because they have sophistication,
And
and
this
it
is
seems
where,
nice.
and
Everybody
this
always wants something they don't have. I mean, the
and this is
grass, yeah,
exactly, and this is where I suck as a person, because it's like I complain about the disadvantages of living the kind of life I've led, but I am enamored with the advantages. And it's like what my girlfriend told me. She said maybe that life would make you happier, but it's like those people are never going to like have a prostitute orgy in Jamaica while being on blow. And
yeah.
it's
But
like,
they're gonna listen to podcasts of guys talking about it, and
yeah,
it's gonna get them through their day of
and
work
it,
at their job where they may not like it or not, but they're stuck in a fucking
and it's a cycle
yeah,
where
nah,
people
yeah,
the
vicious
opposite
cycle basically.
fantasize about living my life, and I look at families listening to that podcast and fantasize about their
Well,
life.
like when you're
Like,
eating it, when you're at the deli by yourself and you see the family come in, you're looking
yeah,
over there, you're like, man, how nice would that be? And who knows? That guy's probably like, well, the kid was fucking crying the whole way over here. My wife's ordering the most expensive thing on the
exactly,
menu.
and
And
that's
he
an
takes one look
advantage.
at you and he's like, God, where did I go
Yeah,
wrong?
that's I wrote this out in 2016. I had a huge transformation of I was just kind of feeling like I didn't belong, and but then I learned to kind of accept it more, and I really enjoyed my company,
Yeah.
my own company, and I really took pride in like, like I've celebrated the majority of my Thanksgivings alone since like past teenager and an adult. Thanksgivings alone, birthdays alone, Christmases alone.
Yeah.
And I always
Yeah.
used to envy, like I wish I had someone. And it's like the moment I started really enjoying Christmas by myself or really enjoying my own Thanksgiving, I realized like a lot more positivity started to come to me when I realized everyone was kind of on their own path. And that, like that's kind of what gets me through. Like if I feel like I'm failing at comedy, or like certain podcasts won't have me on, or I'm not where I want to be, it's like, but I'm on my own path and something will reveal itself in the
That's it.
future. And
Because
a microcosm example could be when people like they wish they had it with some girl, like they have a crush on a girl and they want that girl, and it's cliche, but at a time they don't get that girl and they wish they did. And if they don't and they truly let go and accept it was meant to be, they'll
they should,
find a girl that eventually will make them realize why it didn't work with anyone else.
yeah, I mean, that
And it
happened to
will
me.
be 1,000 times better.
Yeah. I mean, that same thing happened to me. And I was like,
How did it
wow,
happen
this
to
is,
you? If you
uh,
want to feel it.
well, I mean, I can. Yeah. So I dated a girl in high school who I was like in love with, I guess, whatever. Who knows if that's right. And then we broke up, and I was still in love with her because of the way we broke up for the 4 years following. I
Yeah.
got back with her. That's actually the reason I live in back in my hometown. I moved here I was working in Alaska fishing, and I moved
Yeah.
all the way back down here to be with her, and shit just crumbled. And I was like devastated, but not near as bad as I was in high school. I met this girl recently, and we dated for 3 months, and it was the best thing ever. And we ended on applicable terms. And I haven't thought about that first ex-girlfriend since. That one that consumed 7 or 8 years of my life of overthinking and being insecure and
And
drinking.
wishing
I
you could have
became
her
an
back.
alcoholic over it, and so
Yeah.
now I came into my own. I'm like, all right, it's okay just to be me. Somebody out there will like me, so whatever. And if they don't, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I
That,
never used to think that. I'm like, oh, they don't like me. I post this joke. It's like I got 2 likes. Fuck off, man. You gotta just understand, like, it's okay to be unsure. We have so much time on our hands, and not necessarily time, but with what we're doing with our time, we have so much freedom that sometimes tend to overthink about being unsure. Whereas the sophisticated people don't have time to think about that type of shit. They're fucking like, oh, when's my bill due for the baby I just had?
yeah.
Like it's so it's okay, man. And I know that just coming on the show with me and me, we're going back and forth talking about, agreeing on some things or the way that you
Yeah.
think, because this is, an interview about you,
Yeah.
makes you feel better in the sense that before, if you weren't coming on the show, basically, right?
It
You would feel
could,
better after.
yeah, 100%. It's some kind of cathartic release of whether it's like biological, like, the biological desire to procreate, and then B, the the chemicals that go off in your brain when you're raising a kid that's your own. It's like, if you don't take that path, you may set into a depression, or you may go off into other vices to fill that need.
Yeah.
But it like, when you can have self-actualization is what we're talking about right now. You might not have it all the time, but a moment like this is kind of understanding that whole cycle of like, yeah, that's,
I mean, I had a moment of time where that happened to me. I was drinking like, okay, say a bottle of vodka, and I would buy a 30 pack with it every night. And then the next morning when I woke up to go to work, I probably had like 6 beers left on average. I mean, I was drinking an ungodly amount. That's nothing to brag about. Now, what happened, something clicked in my mind, and I was like, fuck this. I'm taking a personal vacation. I went up and I visited some old fishing friends and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely had fun for the first time since I could fucking remember, like fun by myself, where I didn't have to cater to anybody else's needs when I was gone. And then when I came back, I walked into my apartment. I took one look around the way it looked and all those memories of the way I'd been living my life beforehand. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I haven't touched a drop since. I mean, it was something as easy as that. Like you say, the self-actualization that made me quit alcohol. And a lot of times people go to these rehabs and things, not necessarily because they have a problem and a huge addiction, but mentally they don't know how to escape from it. They don't, because it's what they cater to. It's what they escape to. So when they get out, they're going to go right back to it. Me, I know I'm never going to drink again. I have no reason to, you know.
That's what they say in Narcotics Anonymous or Alcohol Anonymous, is you, like, unless you change the internal issues that made you drink in the first place, you're always gonna, you know what I mean? Like, people think alcohol or drug addiction is like, that's a problem, but it's like, no, that's just a symptom of a bigger problem.
Exactly. The problem lies in your mind. I believe that. And a lot of people don't have access to that portal in order to get themselves to stop. It has to be you. 1,000 people can try to get you to stop, put you in any, yell at you, and you're drinking too much, fuck off. That's going to make you want to drink more. It did for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thing was, is I always had this, I mean, again, it leads to a lot of negativity to me, but since 14 years old, I thought I had this divine purpose to seek something out, and it always made me empty. It always made me resentful. It always made me,
because sometimes you felt like you didn't know which way to go.
Exact, but I always had desire and always felt empty and insecure. But there was just a moment where I was going to therapy, I was going to churches. This was when I was like 25 or 26. And after all those years, I just let go.
Yeah.
And I just learned to kind of accept the present and be happy with how I was. And then it just kind of.
Did anything major happen? Like, did you change anything for you to come to that realization?
It was my revelation of just to just kind of let things be.
It just happened one day?
It's okay that, I mean, it was a slow process of months.
See, mine happened in I did the vacation. It was a 4-day vacation. I don't even call it vacation because it's not like I didn't drink on it. I was fucking loaded the whole time.
You just had this epiphany of.
It was the craziest thing.
Of just that the cycle you were in.
Yeah, and the first 3 months was hell. I mean, I didn't know you weren't supposed to detox by yourself, but that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to sit in this apartment and just detox. And it was pure hell. You're talking about
that's a sign,
shakes.
Because heroin withdrawal is the same power as alcohol withdrawal.
Yeah. I mean, it was deadly painful. And I was like, I didn't know how bad it was, but that a girl I recently dated was a nurse, and I was explaining to her, she was like, yeah, you pretty much should have been dead.
When you said that I was like, oh, that's a sign.
I sat on my couch and just fucking sweated out. And then I started shaking so bad that I would move into my kitchen and shake uncontrollably on the floor and sweat all over the place. And I was like, I'm just getting it out. I've always been hard headed like that. Yeah. I got to do it for me. I don't need no fucking help. And that took 3 days. And then it was the first 3 months of being sober was pure hell. And then one day something weird started happening. I would wake up in the morning and want to wake up in the morning. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I've never had this. I was like, I don't want to sleep in. I was like, this is fucking new.
Yeah. And that's the thing with those sort of epiphanies, is not only do you change the kind of cycle or just even how you look at things, but one thing that it's like you can either feel bad or feel grateful. Like, I feel bad that it's like I lost a decade of my life. You know what I
don't.
mean? I lost it. No, but here's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
sometimes I feel really bad that I should have felt this way when I was like 16 years old or 17 years old. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm 29 and I just had this kind of life for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel bad that I lost that, but I'm also so grateful because some people never get it.
Yeah,
Some
they
people are in
don't.
their 40s and they still repeat the same cycles and never know why they're suffering.
Right.
And it's like if I'm suffering, I'll figure out
And
why.
what sucks is you can't tell those people why, even if you know.
Exactly.
If you've reached that, that process of your life where you've done a major lifestyle change, and
Yeah.
you can start picking it up in others, it sucks that you can't tell them that, but you just can't. And
Yeah, that's
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every fucking blackout drunk I got and all that. I wouldn't be able to write a single joke if I didn't go through some of that fucked up shit, or do
yeah.
some of the fucked up shit I did, or any of that. There's some I'll never talk about. It's just like, whoa, what the? I mean, I was an animal, and
Yeah.
then now I can just literally just have fun ironing clothes. It's just different because I've never fucking done anything. It was always go go go. Let's fucking
Because you're
whatever.
present. Like maybe you were drinking to just stop the thoughts. Like if you were doing
I was
something
drinking because I didn't like who I was, and I didn't know
and
any part about it.
always wanting to be somewhere else. Whereas now when you're folding clothes, I know this because I was auditing a meeting and he said I was doing my laundry and I was doing my laundry. And it
Yeah,
made sense that you're just focusing on that. You're
that's
not thinking about things that you failed about in the past or worries about the future. You are just
fucking
folding clothes
relaxing.
and putting them and that's, you know what I mean? Like I
Dude,
only
I've
want
learned
that.
so many new skills in the past
Yeah.
year, like a crazy amount of skills. I do all kinds of projects and shit. And I was like thinking the other day, I was like, I didn't know how to fucking, I had no idea what I was doing at all the jobs I've had. I've had some crazy jobs. Like I worked on big ships for 4 years. And I
Wow.
would,
What did you do there?
I was an able seaman. So like we would go out. I know it sounds funny. Go ahead. Everybody clip it out, make it funny.
Yeah.
We would go out to big oil rigs and we would, offload like heavy pipe and anything that they needed. And so sometimes the seas would get rough and you'd have these 120,000-pound lifts just swinging by your head. And I was just stuck in my zone. Like, all right, I'll be out of here soon and I'll get fucking loaded. Like I don't,
Yeah.
even though I was sober during those work days, they're
Yeah.
still cloudy because my mind was cloudy.
Yeah, that's that it says that. It says it takes you like 28 to 30 days to get like sober,
Oh,
like
it took me 3
mentally and
months to fucking
yeah.
really be like, whoa. I mean, I don't even, it's hard to explain like what that feeling was. And I'm not gonna sit here and try to explain it. I will say I just reached my 1 year on July 22nd, and I'm
Congratulations.
not gonna count anymore because that's it for me. Like
Yes.
now it's just, I don't drink. I don't feel the need to,
Yeah.
3 years for what? It wasn't a fucking problem. I just like to get drunk because I didn't like who I was.
Yeah,
Now I
that's
know who I am. I don't need alcohol. I don't need to drink. I mean, I'll still fuck around with some booger sugar or something like that. But
oh hell
alcohol,
yeah.
it's not for me. You know what I mean? Like people are like,
Yeah.
oh, when are you gonna get completely sober from everything? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sober from the shit that fucked me up, man.
Exactly. And that's the sad thing is you gotta know which drugs work for you and which drug
Yeah,
like
I love
apparently,
alcohol. I love going to the
like
dive bars, hanging out.
psychedelics don't work for me. And
I can't do psychedelics either. I
as
did it
much
one
as I would
time.
love to go back to that
Woo.
life, I know, you know what I mean? Like I mean, I don't like to drink. It was just more painful than it was worth. But yeah, I fuck with Coke. I fuck with ecstasy, weed, some other
I
kinds of
can't do weed and I
substances.
can't do psychedelic. I can't do weed for the simple fact that I've smoked it maybe 2 or 3 times,
Yeah,
probably since 2013 when I quit. I was a heavy weed smoker in high
yeah,
school, but every time I smoke now, like the last time was probably a year and a half ago, it makes
yeah,
me uncontrollably paranoid. And just immediately, the first thing I do is start thinking about all those fucked up stories that sometimes I push way in the back of my mind and they
yeah.
resurge. And I'm like, why did I fucking do that? I'm such a
But,
piece of shit, and I
and
don't, sometimes I don't need to think about those.
yeah, not to sound like one of those like woo woo, I'm a hippie guys, but sometimes I like that because if I get in my own head and I'm like, let me do this shit, I kind of put these blinders on that like I'm being a shitty person or I'm just like not practicing the things that I'm saying because I'm having a moment of mindfulness through this conversation, but I'm not like this all the time. I
Right, right.
wish I was, but so like sometimes when I smoke weed, I get the paranoia, but it shows me like, hey, you need to be focusing on the present.
Yeah,
What
fuck
I was gonna
that.
say to
I'm
that is
focused on
like,
the present now, you
yeah,
know?
my thing was
I
like
focus on the past when I smoke.
like mushrooms. It's like I fucking love mushrooms, but it's like I know that's the one that doesn't work well with me.
I did mushrooms one time, and I thought literally Satan was trying to call me on my cell phone, and it was the worst thing ever because I knew that was going to happen, and I was overthinking it. And plus, there were lab shrooms, and I ate 3.5 grams, and it was
Holy
just
shit. Yeah.
dumb. But
I never even went that far. I think
oh yeah,
it's
I was a senior in high school, and I was with a friend of mine who was really experienced in shrooms. Oh, dude, I'm gonna take care of you. Blah blah blah. All this shit.
yeah.
Here, eat 3.5 grams of lab shrooms. All right, give it to me. The moment they hit him, he went out into the street and started getting sick and just wigging out. So I was trying to call his dad to come pick him up, and I kept giving him the wrong directions. I called him 56 times apparently, and it was just a whole fucked up thing. But
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my story with psychedelics is there was just a lot of angels and demons. And the only sad thing is I kind of a little bit personified that as part
yeah,
of my
yeah.
own illness or
But that's okay
mental
because
issues.
it fits. Not to say anything else, but it does.
Because
You know?
there's always this sick part of me that's like, well, what if that was real and this is fake? Well, like, what if I am in some secret war where I'm the only angel that can destroy these demons, and these demons are ravaging humans and like destroying angels, and I'm the only one who could save it? Like, there's a part of me, a crazy part of me that's like, what if that was real and this life is just almost like in the Matrix or something?
Yeah. No, I mean, I
That
get
is,
it, and I
but
don't.
that's why I don't fucking do mushrooms and haven't done them in like 10 years.
I had thoughts like that when I was a kid. I remember I used to probably third or fourth grade. I can remember back that far. I would have this weird dream about a shoe where it
Yeah.
would follow me around everywhere, which started making me think that I was the only person that thought. I was like, well, what if this is a social experiment and I'm the only one that doesn't know about it type thing.
Yes. Oh
And then
my
I grew
God.
up and then fucking got into drugs and alcohol, and that I realized that everybody's fucked up.
Yeah, it's funny because people like because like before the internet, you always think that you're the unique, but then you realize like those are like the four paranoias. One is that you're the only real person. That's what sophism. You believe it's all projected in your mind. The
Yes.
other is that it's some kind of conspiracy. Like everyone's just actors and everyone's just has some script or everyone's just playing a role and you're not in a real scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
The other is you're in some afterlife. But these are all like, schizophrenic, sort of psychotic.
They are.
And like, I'll be real. I always feel like these things will be used against me, but it's like
They
that.
won't,
I
dude.
still,
Let's
no, I mean, like if someone wants to harm me, like that is, I still have that shit.
but
And
you're
it's,
always going to, you know.
I mean, well, no, I mean, like I am diagnosed schizophrenic, but they don't know if it's bipolar that borders into psychotic episodes or schizophrenia. But like, I will like go
But
in.
who is they, man? Just fuck it. Go off your own resurgence. You know what to do. You know what to think, man. You
I
know what
know,
makes you feel good about it. You know, you know when you're overthinking. You do,
no, but
because
that's,
otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation.
yeah, but what I'm saying is it'll happen rarely, but there are times where like I'll like walk to the store and I'm like, oh my God, this is all fake. These are
Yeah. It
holographic.
happens randomly. It happens a lot when I'm driving. I'll be at a
Yeah,
red light, like, oh fuck.
they call it a permia trips, where it's like you took so much acid you can't come
Oh,
back. You're still.
I never even thought twice about doing acid. I've heard stories and I'm like, that's me. I'm gonna do that, you know.
Yeah, that's it's like
But
I'm in.
random, we could go on all night on this shit, man. I'm gonna have to have you back on for these
All
one-on-one
right, yeah.
episodes. This is fantastic. Like I feel like the fans are gonna open up for it. We've been out almost what, an hour and a half or something. Do you have a timer?
Have we? That's
It's
the beauty.
10:30. I gotta be at work at 6 a.m. Yeah,
All
well, it's
right, yeah,
11:30 where you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can stop this right now, but it's like that was just flowing.
You like that?
Like what? That felt like 10 minutes.
Nah,
20.
no, man. That's why I enjoy doing this, man. And I really like to study the guests before I have them on. Like I
Yeah,
had told you before, you know, I wasn't necessarily nervous about having you on the first show. I
yeah.
just wanted to kind of get a feel, so I packed the room out just like the previous shows you'd been on. And so I sat back a little bit and really looked into that. But dude, so this will be Patreon episode 3. I'm gonna put this fucker out tomorrow, man. This went well, like a lot better than I thought. So, all right, sign up if if you're listening to this right now on the Patreon early. Send me your address if you want some merch. I'll give you the stickers now, and then when I get some of the T-shirts and shit like that, I'll be giving some of those away. If you're into that, if not, dude, I hope you're enjoying the shows. And still, always regular programming. I don't understand. Like, I get what the other comics are doing, but I'm still doing the same amount of shows. This is just extra shit as a way to support the show. So RanDoM, I'm going to release this out, and it'll be released to the public next week. So tune in. We'll be live. I'm putting this out tomorrow. Who the fuck knows when we're going to be live? Just put your fucking notifications on, people. All right. I hope you enjoyed this. Go check out Mark RanDoM. Where can people find you, man?
They can find me at YouTube. Just Google Mark RanDoM. My channel is Mark RanDoM. Twitter, Instagram, Mark RanDoM X. MarkRanDoM.com. It's kind of in development hell, but it's like I don't know if I want to sell comedy albums, but I have the documentary and t-shirt because I'm still using that comedy material.
Right.
But it's I'm just going to be real. Like, you won't really find me.
Yeah, no, I think that the fans understand that.
I'll out and be crazy, but this is like the in-depth interview. Like, you
right.
got in how many years you got the realest interview. So like, this is this is who Mark RanDoM is in his higher self.
Yes.
But you're not going to see this.
Right. I mean, there's no reason this interview should have been done unless the people listening to it already know who you are, and they do. I know the fans of this show do. So people have been calling for it, man. So I appreciate you coming on and being real about that, because people are going to love this, and they're going to be checking it out. I want
feedback of any other show I've ever done. I want feedback of this to see what people thought, because again, this is a Mark RanDoM unmasked. This is a version of that people will never see.
What do they say, ski mask?
Yeah.
Wow, that's hilarious. All right, tune in. Yeah, give us some give Mark your honest feedback on this appearance, because it's completely different. I'm sorry, dude.
I gotta live the
no, because I fucked that up on your first appearance. I don't know why.
All good. I just have to keep saying it for
maybe it's because I don't know anybody else with that name. It's so easy to flow off the tongue. I don't know.
Yeah.
With the name Mark, I don't know anybody named Mark.
Yeah, RanDoM.
All right, thanks, guys.